interesting video here by Huey P. Newton, just the audio. And this is on the Afro-Marxist YouTube channel. It's Huey P. Newton on guns and gun control. And I think it's just a really insightful perspective and not something we hear a whole lot about from people on the left more broadly.
Make a statement concerning guns in the light of the assassination of Kennedy. First of all, our position on guns and violence in general, on war in general, is one of being against war and being against violence.
Yep.
And this is not a changed position. If it seems in contradiction to some of my earlier statements, simply because people have not understood what I was saying in the first place. That I say that violence, war, and guns are a thing that the Black Panther Party would like to see gotten rid of. And we absolutely are against people killing each other and committing violence on each other. But also, we recognize that we don't advocate that the oppressed people, that the victims
don't defend themselves,
leave themselves
defenseless,
subject to the aggressions
Yep.
of the criminal. And these are the people who are forcing
the police, the military,
us to a state of subjugation and keeping us in a state of slavery. And this is the people all over the world. For instance, I'm sure the Vietnamese people would like very much for this government to give up its guns, because that would mean that the military would disarm itself and stop killing little Vietnamese children and women and destroying them. I think I stated earlier that the motto of the Panther is that
any means necessary,
we're
right?
advocates of the abolition of war.
Yeah.
We do not want war, but war can only be abolished through war. And in order to get rid of the gun, we find it necessary to take up the gun. So the first thing to do is not to disarm the victim, but
arm the
disarm
victim.
the aggressor.
Yes.
Disarm the person who's
The
first
oppressors.
causing the violent incidents. The United States have been visiting violence upon
All over the world, yep.
causing violence upon the world for years upon weak, oppressed people. And that we are against this, and we would like for this to be changed, and we are going to change it by any means necessary. So therefore, that in the final analysis, that we would like for total disarmament to exist, but first we would have to disarm
The oppressors.
the cause of the disturbance, and the cause of the
Military,
disturbance
cops.
is imperialism,
Yep.
and the violence that is the violence that is in this country is only a reflection of the violent nature
Overseas.
of the country in the first place.
Correct.
You don't expect to go to someone else's home and disturb things and act violently and expect for your home to stay in a state of peace and tranquility. The first thing you have to do is stop your actions against other people, and then violence will stop. But I think this country is so hung up on violence and ruled by force, the club, and the gun, until it'll be very difficult for them to even pass legislation to get rid of guns. And if they do pass legislation to get rid of guns, that the Black Panther Party is going to keep an eye on who maintains his guns. If they want to disarm people, I would say first start disarming the vicious police force that occupy our communities throughout the country, where we die, we're brutalized each day, and we're shot down in the street. Our little kids are shot down in the street by criminals with guns under disguise, going under the facade of peace officers. So, in the final analysis, that we stand for total, and this is not to exclude anyone. If you're going to disarm, then disarm the police. Start with the police,
the military,
and end up with the military.
Yeah.
And then that we would advocate advocate that all other countries disarm itself and violence will stop. Because then the people will have more of a chance of a
stand up.
grievance,
Yeah.
because the racist and imperialist will not be protected by his guns. And the only thing that protects them is guns. So the violence that America inflicts throughout the world is now coming home to roost.
Yes.
As Malcolm said
Yes.
before his death, that when Kennedy's brother was killed, he made the statement that the chickens have come home to roost. And I think that this is an appropriate statement at this time, that the chickens have come home to roost.
So good. Appreciate, Huey P. Newton. What an amazing revolutionary, and really on point with what he was saying, the violence coming home to roost. I think we could really describe what happened at the Capitol building a couple days ago in Washington, D.C. as a prime example of that. And huge part of the Black Panther Party, when it started, was doing armed police patrols in Oakland and kind of that general area in California to make sure the police weren't harassing and brutalizing people. And the state legislature ended up passing a law because they were so successful in that, and the establishment was so scared of the power that the Panthers posed. They made a law making it illegal to open carry in California, I believe, is what ended up happening. And I used to be fairly anti-gun, frankly, but I've kind of come to similar position as Huey P. Newton, that people on the left more, broadly should have firearms, know how to use them safely to protect themselves, their families, their comrades, their communities, because when push comes to shove, it's not going to be the cops or the military helping people out in times of need. They're always going to be on the side of the oppressors, always on the wrong side of social movements. They're never going to be, standing with Black Lives Matter protesters or people, protesting around other social justice or anti-war, anti-imperialism issues. They're always going to be on the side of the oppressors. And, until, like he was saying, we get rid of imperialism, we get rid of the violence that's inflicted on people by the police internally within the United States, and if we don't dismantle the U.S. empire, these chickens will always keep coming home to roost. And that's, a huge part of where that violence stems from. And in the meantime, like he was saying, his perspective was that, we need to get rid of guns, but first we have to take up guns and sometimes engage in acts of violence that are a self-defense in nature, type of thing. But sometimes that's necessary in order to get to the longer goal of trying to end violence in the U.S. and then getting these other countries to disarm as well. But that's not going to happen necessarily just through peaceful means. You might have to arm yourselves and act in self-defense for yourself, your family, your comrades, your community against whether it's these oppressive institutions that enact violence for the state as a form of social control, whether it be white supremacists, white nationalists, different right-wing reactionaries, etc. So definitely really appreciate Huey P. Newton. Just an amazing revolutionary, did so much for the movement, and highly recommend checking out his book, Revolutionary Suicide. I'm just maybe a little bit over halfway done with it myself. Highly recommend that. And just the Black Panther Party in general did so much to raise consciousness, as well as work towards creating a more just and equitable world, while also meeting the material conditions of the people through things like the free breakfast program, which I think it was J. Edgar Hoover at the FBI said that was the most dangerous program that the Panthers implemented, was actually the free breakfast program for children, because it was so popular and got so many people attracted to the Black Panther Party and the movement they represented, because they were doing such amazing work in the community. And the FBI, the establishment, the security state, the U.S. empire saw it as such a huge risk. We saw how they violently murdered, went after, suppressed, imprisoned, persecuted, and brutalized so many members of the Black Panther Party. So, I definitely would love to hear your thoughts. If you consider yourself a leftist, what are your thoughts on people owning guns? Because like I said, my perspective has changed quite drastically, more or less a 180 flip. Subscribe for more content. Peace. Much love. If you like the video, like the damn video. All power to the people, as the Panthers said, by any means necessary.